This is Les from the TV Dudes. Up next, we've got my interview with Brian Sacca, actor from Wolf of Wall Street and more recently, the TBS sitcom Wrecked, which premieres its Season 2 on June 20th. We recorded an interview via Skype and had a great chat. Enjoy. I'm sitting here with Brian Sacca from TV's Wrecked.
Please.
What's a typical day filming Wrecked?
One, it's going to be a hot day because where we shoot is always so hot all the time. Like, I got sunburned on my eyeballs this past season, which I didn't know could happen, but can happen. But what I actually really love about the show is we barrel through scenes. So a typical day is you get the scripts. If there have been any rewrites, we read it out loud, do a little rehearsal with the showrunners, the Shipley brothers, and whoever's directing that chunk of episodes. And then we kind of have fun with it. We figure out if there's any jokes we can add to it. We tweak the scene for whatever reason we feel like we may tweak the scene. And then we shoot the hell out of it real fast and move on to the next scene. We cover a lot of pages in a day on this show. It's awesome.
The energy of the show is really great, so it kind of makes sense that y'all are clipping through it. I know Zach Kreger mostly from Whitest Kids You Know, and of course Reese Darby we all know from Flight of the Conchords and so many other things recently. And I know you came out of doing stuff at UCB Theater as at Machio Sketch Group in New York.
Yeah, I was in that sketch group, and then I was in a two-man sketch group called Pete and Brian.
Yeah.
We did YouTube videos, and then we performed live, went to the Aspen Comedy Festival.
So is there a lot of improv that happens on the set to add to the scene?
100%. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like every scene. It's almost expected that we're going to bring something to it. Like, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to get in the scene, but, every performer on the show comes from kind of either an improv or a writing background or sketch background. So we're all bringing stuff to each scene. And that's kind of what makes it fresh. And when you're talking about Zach Kreger, whenever the two of us have a scene together, we go in and we always love the writing. We love the scene. But when we finish it, we always are just pumped because we find things in the scenes together. And it's funny, we were commenting on it this last season, like every time we have a scene afterwards, we'd be like, hey man, that was a great scene. Yeah, that was a really great scene. Because we would always find an improv within the scene and build on it or find some different way to do it. So yeah, it is an improv heavy show, which is why it's so much fun to shoot. It's rare that we just come in and shoot the pages and leave.
I also know that you've done some writing for award shows. And I'm sure that's got to differ from stuff you wrote for Pete and Brian and things like that. So what's writing for an award show like? Is it just putting words in the host's mouth? Or are you what kind of concerns are there?
It's a little bit of both. And it depends on the show that you're on. A lot of what I was writing is what's called patter, which is the horrible dialogue that the actors say before they announce the winner of an award. And generally in a patter writing room, we are all fully aware of how bad our writing has to be, because it has to be something that the presenter literally reads like 30 seconds before they get on stage. So we can't have like an ultra complicated joke. It's got to be pretty basic,
yeah.
And then they have to be able to get it and say it and deliver it. And it depends on the show. It changes per show. Like the first award show I ever worked on was the MTV Movie Awards, and that when someone's going to present on that show, they want to do a bit. They want to do something that's not like other award shows. So we could write more kind of deeper, funnier patter for that show. And my partner and I wrote some real, legitimately great pieces that we excited kind of made it on the show and became the moment. That's one thing you're always looking for is like, what was the moment of the show that everybody's talking about the next day? And we wrote some moments which were cool. And on some award shows, like the hosts would say, come in, write for me. Usually the host has their own writing team, but a lot of times the hosts, depending on who they are, will bring you in and, have you help write jokes for them too. It's a fun experience because it's quick. It's basically a bunch of people thrown into a room for a couple weeks who don't really know each other and kind of get to know each other and kind of create this bond through writing these crazy-ass patterns and then go home.
What was the point in your career where you knew you could be professionally funny? I mean, I'm sure there's a moment in everybody's childhood where you realize that this is working for me. But what was the job or the moment on a job where you went, no, I think I can legitimately go for this?
It's, there is a very specific moment, and it wasn't necessarily that I could be professionally funny, but it was that I could do something with my ability to be funny, and I was doing a play in high school. It's a very complicated play. It was this old, like, Dylan Thomas play, and I think there was something like 100 characters in the play, so all of the actors played like 6 or 7 parts. And at one of my parts was I played a fisherman who had one line, and I was in the audience for that one line. And the light was supposed to come up on me. I say my line, and the light goes down. And for some reason, I was in my place, and the light came up like 3 minutes too soon. So instead of just standing there, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try to do something with this. So without talking, there was 2 people sitting near me, a man and a woman, and I tried to get them to make out with each other without saying a word. And they came close to making out, and then at that time, these are just audience members, and then my cue for my line came, and I said my line, and the light went out, and I got a standing ovation in the middle of the show. And I was like, oh, I just created something out of nothing and had a lot of fun doing it too. Maybe this is something I should pursue. And to be honest, it was my parents and my drama teacher that said you should go into acting, you should go into performing. I was still like unconvinced. I thought maybe I was going to be a lawyer or something. And they were the ones that were like, no, this is what you should do. Go for it.
That's great. And that's great support from your family who, you don't come from a family of slouches. Your brother, Chris, your dad, Gerald. I know you took the world's most spectacular honeymoon and have some travel videos. Are there any other non-acting passions that really drive you when you're not, ironically, lost on a beach?
Well, in entertainment, I would say most of my focus is on writing and producing, just because that's something that I have a deep passion for, writing. I have a feature that, as of right now, is going to get going in the fall. It's going to get made in the fall, and I just finished my second feature, and I'm taking on a TV show right now. And because I love storytelling in all aspects, and I think that that's really where my passion lies, is any way to tell a story is what excites me. Other than entertainment stuff, skiing. I was a ski instructor in high school. That was my winter job. And still, if there's snow anywhere near me, I am drawn to it and need to get out on the slopes. That said, it was a bummer when I just spent 3 months in Fiji during the biggest snow season California has seen in 30 years. And I'm just sitting there melting on a beach.
I'm just imagining whose job it is to make sure all your sunburns are at the right level for each scene so it doesn't jump back and forth.
It's literally, makeup had to, consider that. The makeup people gave me special eye drops because they were like, your eyes are too messed up. We got to fix these. You look high every day now. And I'm thinking, let's figure out how to make my eyes not beat red at all times.
Oh, that's great. I loved you in Wolf of Wall Street, and I've got to ask, as an actor, what's the strangest thing you've ever seen someone make an assistant go procure? I just saw the scene of you guys all discussing, what Leonardo DiCaprio can and can't do for clients in meetings and the whole movie.
That's it. Yeah, great. That seems fun. This isn't a strange thing, but this is an amazing moment on Wolf of Wall Street that was special to me. It was just cool. For as crazy as that movie was, we all took it really seriously, and everyone always asked me, were you guys really doing drugs? Were you really drinking on set? I'm like, no, because a lot of times those scenes where we're doing that, we're shooting at 7:30 in the morning. So it's not like you're like, yeah, I want to booze up at 7:30 in the morning before a 15-hour day.
Yeah.
But there was one night we were shooting one of our many orgies on a boat. This one actually got cut from the movie, I think. But it's in it for a quick second. But we're shooting late. It was actually, the night was, I think Leo had to go. He was going to a movie premiere and was coming back, and we were still shooting. And we had one shot left. And Leo said to a buddy of mine and I were standing there, and he's like, hey, you guys want to drink a little bit? And we were like, yeah. And, there's one shot left. I think it was a Friday or something like that. I'm like, yeah. And he leans over the side of the boat. We're in a studio. We're on a boat, but it's in the studio. He leans over the side of the boat, motions to one of his guys. And his guy brings up a large coffee cup of some really delicious, really expensive scotch. And it was just like, all right, let's finish this. And we just start passing it around between the three of us, just pounding this coffee cup of scotch, just like trying to get it down. And what was amazing about it was how immediate it was. He just turned over and was like, yeah, and here it comes up, this coffee cup of scotch, and then we drink it, and then we're done, and we all feel great, and we finish the scene, and we go home. And it was like one of those moments where it's like, I could tell you every single little detail about where I was standing on the boat, because it was just so awesome to be like cannonballing scotch with Leonardo DiCaprio.
That's amazing. That's a great story.
Yeah.
With all the recent election events and everything, do you think Danny knows? Do you think the castaways know what's happened in the? Are they going to be surprised when they get back? And
no, but that's something that we talk. I mean, we don't necessarily address that in this season, but we do talk about, how great it would be to come, to have a season where we come back and we're like, what the fuck happened to the world? Like, so much has happened since we started shooting this show that it's amazing to think that there are people out there who have no clue what is really going on, especially in America and, Russia and all of that shit, to come back and be like, wait a minute, the Apprentice guy is our president now? Like, it almost sounds like if that was in a TV show, people would be like, nah, man, that's not real.
Yeah, no, it strains credibility. So that kind of brings me to my final question then. With a celebrity president, I feel like more than ever, the world needs Dylan and Russell. Where's our fact check unit?
Well, two things with that. One, Pete, my old partner, is a better human being than I am. And I say that because he has shifted his priorities to helping people, and now he's a psychologist. So props on him. And he's a wonderful human being. So he is doing a greater good than fact checkers could ever do. But that said, we have been chatting with a production company to do a different kind of version of fact checkers that addresses kind of what this world of alternative facts that we live in right now, which is just insane. But we're developing a kind of like new, updated, less narrative version of fact checkers is the way I put it.
Yeah, because I feel like the absurdity of real life is kind of outpacing PolitiFact at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, we want to comment on that, and by having it be the Dylan and Russell storyline, kind of, it's almost like, again, like we were talking about with the cast of Rex coming back to reality, like, any crazy fact that we would have to check in the show wouldn't be as crazy as the shit that's being spewed every day right now. So it's bringing that concept of fact checking into a space where we can talk about what happened today, because every day it's something insane.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us. And Wrecked is coming back for season 2 on Tuesday, June 20th. It's a great show. It's on TBS. Everybody ought to give that a shot.
Thank you.
Brian Sacca, it's been wonderful talking to you.
And I think you can watch it. Thank you, man. I think you can watch it now. You can stream the first season on the TBS and TBS.com. I sound like an announcer saying that, but that's where you can find it now.
Oh, that's
Thank you so much, man.
Hey, it was my pleasure.
It was a great chat with you.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Permanent Record Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, please go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter at TV Dudes, and help us out on iTunes by giving us a 5-star rating and writing a review. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and permanentrcrd.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.